Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us. This is the HFA webinar of the week, and this one is going to be focusing on e-com. We've got a couple of terrific guests that I'm going to introduce you to in just a moment, but I want to just say thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Schumacher. I'm the CEO of the Home Furnishings Association, and I want to remind you that ever since the pandemic started, we have had the best resource page in the business, in any business as far as I'm concerned. It's myhfa.org/COVID-19. It has been a place for real-time updates on anything related to this pandemic, and it's something that we've never let our foot off the gas on that, and we expect you to as well. So I want to just remind you that that's a great resource. That's also where this webinar will be when we are finished. So if you like what you're hearing, we're going to have it there, and we'll have a link making it available to people to listen after the fact. So I want to first of all just point that out. But let me introduce our guests. We have from Florida, we have Kim Dominguez. She's with Mater Brothers, which is a company that actually runs 10 different locations. Interesting thing about our two guests today, they don't even know this. Both of these particular retailers were founded in the mid-50s. Who knew this was going to be a 50s throwback kind of a situation? And we have Rob Van Hoos of Big Sandy. And Rob, I don't even know, I got to ask you, because you guys have made some major moves. How many stores do you guys have as of right this second?
Well, in progress, by the first of next year, we'll have 34 locations.
There we go. I knew it was fluid, so I had to ask. We've asked both of these professionals to be here with us today because both do a phenomenal job in the e-com side of things. And we know this is a continual part of the business that everybody's trying to manage. And I want to just start out by asking you guys a specific question, and that is, and this is something that's come up in pre-questions we've already had. How in the world do you continue to effectively do business on the e-commerce side of things when immediacy has always been part of it, and you're having to tell customers that what they're ordering they're not going to get for a while? Kim, at the moment, is that one of the hottest issues you guys are dealing with? Is just those customers' expectations?
I think we're feeling that more in store. Online, we've strategically only provided pricing for in-stock product,
Okay.
so that way our customers are happy with the experience that they get online.
Well, that's you answered two questions in one there, which was going to be my question. So that's very, very specific. So you're only going to make sure that they have access to anything that you have currently in stock.
Right.
Okay, Rob, what
if they choose to look at something that we don't have in stock, which we do offer that online, we can put them through to a live chat, a private appointment, or they can come in store.
Okay, we'll talk more about that in a minute too. Thank you for that. Rob, what about y'all? How are you guys managing the whole availability issue when it comes to e-com?
Well, our number one brand is in stock, but when everybody's telling them the same thing, it's a level playing field, and we still continue to offer a whole assortment and get a lot of people willing to wait because they've been told that at every other place they've shopped.
Okay, so that's good or bad. That's become an overall expectation for a lot of people, regardless, in this whole shopping situation. Let me ask you both. Take us back a little bit. Kim, what would you say have been the biggest wins you've had with what you had in place at the beginning of the pandemic, as far as how your e-com was set up? Let's start with the good stuff. What are the things that really have worked well for you?
Well, you know what, let me take a step back on that.
Sure.
So prior to COVID coming, we've been in the digital space for a long, long time, but we never really pulled the trigger on e-commerce. It was always a major initiative to us, and we knew we had to get it done. But we had other business objectives, and we were trying to follow through with our 5-year plan, of course. But then we also knew that 63% of customers are beginning that journey online. So obviously we knew it was a place. COVID hit, and that number increased by 33% in the first 2 quarters. So we knew we had to step in quick. We asked ourselves, for months prior, we were, analyzing platforms and technologies and how we can find the perfect solution for us. But when COVID hit, we realized, do we want to be perfect, or do we want to get it done? So within 14 days, we got it done and went live on e-commerce. It was a huge learning experience for us, and I feel as though we're continually improving that experience for our customers since.
I mean, I knew you guys were quote unquote new to the transactional aspect of it. I did not realize, and I apologize, that it was actually after COVID started. Holy smoke. So you guys had to ramp this up rapidly.
Exactly.
Okay.
Very
Well,
rapidly.
so then well, let me pause switch there. Rob, now you guys have been transactional for a while.
Yes, several years.
What were those key things that you saw as the real positives that you had in place when this all started and you realized you were going to have to be closing some store doors?
Well, when the government tells you got to close your stores and you have no source of income, online becomes very important. We never had to close our online store. We were still able to deliver to the customer's door. It taught us basically how to sell virtually, make appointments, talk to the customer on the phone. It's amazing. Typically salespeople run from phone calls because they pay a service call. But there is a lot of volume being done on the phone, and now more people are running towards the phone because it's a source of income. And phone sales are up just as much as e-commerce sales.
And, if we'd had this conversation 6 months ago before this all started, phone work would have been seen as a dinosaur, as a throwback. And yet I've heard from so many people that it has been, a lifeline. So let's talk about this. You've both said a lot of things here. So let's kind of break this down. So when you talk about, you said in a pre-interview we had, Rob, that you got to, if you're not winning online, you're not winning. So tell us what that looks like from both of your standpoints when it comes to, okay, so when they connect, you've talked about all these channels you can shove them to. What does that look like from a strategic standpoint? How do you make sure that journey is going to be a successful and at least have better odds of doing that? Rob, I'll start with you and then we'll go to Kim on that.
Well, the big shift has been, my guess is somewhere 70 to 80% of the customers don't want to shop all these physical locations and stand a chance of getting sick. So they're online, predetermining where they're going to shop. And you got to make at least the top two. And they're probably only going to shop one. If you meet their needs, you'll get them. But they're shopping your site and then determining where they're going to go shop for real.
So you better make that impression really good right off the bat. Kim, what about y'all as far as that goes too?
We saw probably about a 70% increase of online shoppers, unique visitors to our website once COVID hit. And that number's pretty much stayed consistent. So it's important for us to make sure that product that we have, we're really putting an emphasis on making sure that the journey it's seamless for them, that checkout is seamless for them, that the content that they're looking for is there. We're putting a lot of effort into, photographing new products, making sure that technology is there on the site that makes their experience simple and something that they want to continue engaging with.
So Rob, what do you think? And this is a question that came out pre-webinar today. So how do you ensure that you're closing more of these sales, whether it's an actual online sale or getting them in the store? What have been the go-tos as far as to really convert and close these opportunities?
Well, first thing, we've established an internet sales team at each location that the chat agents can refer to. That becomes a split commission situation. Give as much information to the customer up front, so when they go in, you ask for Charlie, and he can pull up their transcript, what they were looking at, and it's a much better customer experience, and they feel a little more special if you can execute that correctly. It doesn't go near as well if they come in and ask for Charlie, and that's his day off.
Right.
They've got the schedules there. They try to coordinate there. There's always you're never going to bat 100% on that. But we've been very successful of completing that connection in the store. Because online, if you can close 10 to 12% of the people you talk to on chat, that's a high number. So if you're going to monetize them, you got to have the other ways of following up on them. We use Perk. We got Perk leads. Whether they're calling the store or whatever, it's you just got to be real intentional about it, and it is the future if you're going to show any growth.
And Kim, how does that sit with you? The 10 to 12% on chat conversion of sales on through chat, is that about right for y'all too? You mentioned that the chat's something that you guys are doing.
Yes, we just started that again, probably mid-March, early April, and we did it in the time when we were shut down. So I actually physically listened to customers, and it was great because we actually had that one-on-one experience, and we learned what they were looking for. So we have a strategy that we know when a live chat becomes a lead, when we pass that off to a manager or the sales staff. We also are investing in our actual online store. We look at it as our flagship store now. So we are building out staffing as you would with a brick and mortar. So we find it both important.
Which is an interesting point, because I remember early on there were some a couple of retailers that I've spoken to who, you know, it used to be that your in-store salespeople, to Rob's point earlier, you know, would run from the phone, but then realizing, is it key to put some of your best people on those chats and receiving those calls versus it just being kind of that call center feel? I mean, Rob, it seems to me that if this is that key to transacting that sale, that you want somebody that's got some chops that's on the other side of that call and or chat. Yeah. Would you agree?
In theory, but your best people don't want to work chat. There's too many informational chats. There's a lot of when's my product going to come in. The biggest thing we're stressing is these people, our salespeople have never paid so much money, so they're getting a little fat and happy, and we've got to beat them to keep in touch with the customer, because the customer gets a little ticked when they have to call you to find out that PO's been pushed out again. And you know, we try to stay in touch with them every 2 weeks. And as normal salespeople are, that's been the biggest challenge, training that and make that a process that they own. And you know, it's hard to bat 100% on that, but it's critical that you keep those sales that people are waiting on.
Kim, what about you? You mentioned that you jumped on calls. You know, I mean, that speaks volumes there. But how are you guys staffing those types of calls, and what's the theory behind it?
So we are staffing that with an e-commerce manager. So her role is to take those calls, decipher what is the goal of that call. Is it a lead? Is it not a lead? Take the customer to that actual salesperson if they are in the process where we have determined that person, that is a potential sale. And then we put them into a CRM system that we could do follow-up. We also follow up with each potential lead within 2 weeks as well.
So you've got somebody dedicated who's qualifying every one of those contacts.
Correct. And it's not a customer service, it's somebody with a sales background.
Okay. And a question that just that came through that I think is a good one. How are you guys handling, Rob, you gave a little bit of an indication, but how are you handling commissions in this kind of multifaceted customer contact approach? What are you finding is working for your team?
Well, we when the chat agent connects them with the in-store internet salesperson, it's a split situation, and that makes both sides happy and a better customer experience. But
okay. And
split it more than 2 ways.
If it's a call that just comes in, is that how is that handled?
Call that comes in where?
I mean, just to the store. How are you? I've had some retailers ask about how people are handled.
That's always handled. I mean, who answers the phone tries to get them in, come in and see them, and that's become their customer.
Drive them to the door. Okay. And Kim, what about you? How do you all handle the commission piece of this?
So right now, because of volume, that sales or e-commerce manager is managing all that and is salaried. I'm sure at some point we're going to have to relook at that, but once the lead goes to a salesperson, that salesperson they receive the commission.
So how do you, let me ask you all this, because again, your staffs are so, incredibly important for obvious reasons. Has this created some acrimony when it comes to this whole commission structure? You know, have you had to really get your floor people to embrace a lot of this? Have they done it organically? Is it still kind of something you're dealing with? Because this is something that we see pop up on questions we've even had today here since we started.
If your salespeople are making record income, they tend to complain less.
Well, I mean,
because they can't wait on what's coming in the door, even though the traffic count is less, the close rate is routinely running 50–60%, and you know they're making more income than they've ever made, and they understand that the internet's important to our future. We're also an ESOP company, so we just tell them their stock price will appreciate it.
Gotcha. Kim, what are your thoughts on that as well, as far as the embracing of the, you know, your floor team, essentially how they're embracing things?
You know, because it's so new to us, you know, we're starting that education process with them. We do have opportunity if a customer comes in, shops the showroom, and then goes home and closes that sale online, to give credit to our salesperson that helped them in store. But it is a constant education, and it'll evolve over time as e-commerce becomes more and more of our day-to-day.
Awesome. I want to let people know, if they've just tuned into us here, if you will, talking to Rob Van Hoos of Big Sandy and Kim Dominguez from Mater Brothers. We're talking e-com and everything related to that. E-com has been tested like never before in these last number of months, and so we're trying to learn some lessons from a couple of places that have done a really good job with that. I guess the you know, one of the questions that we've kind of talked about here is, you know, as you're using your website as the place where you're first connecting with a lot of people. You know, in the old days, you would just immediately try to push them to, you know, in-store, you know, from a traffic standpoint. How much, even now, as we've gone through this for a while and stores are back opening, Kim, what are we looking at as far as how many appointments you're seeing that are being set? Are we still seeing appointments as a pretty decent percentage of the transactions you're dealing with?
I'm going to say we've seen it slow down in terms of appointments because we've been open a lot longer than most people in the country. Mm-hmm. So, but on the flip side, we're seeing sales that we've never seen before. We've been busier in the last 3 months. I think May was one of our best months in history. So, you know, we're very pleased with what's happening in store. It's obvious that people have been sitting in their homes for a long time. They're, you know, wanting to change their environment and create a better space for themselves. Home office category is a great category right now. People are not taking those big, you know, European vacations, and they're putting it into their home, and we're feeling that in store. So those appointments we're seeing a lot more traffic on our website, but I feel people are coming in equally.
Rob, what about you?
Appointments aren't not near as important as they were. It's nice to offer it, lock the customer in, but most people don't want to be locked in and say, I'll just see you sometime Saturday. So it's a nice option to have. It, you know, it could come back to be more important, but it's greatly diminished since May.
And let me ask you both this, and this is something that I've heard people voice concerns about. And you kind of just hit on it, Rob, without realizing that you were leading into something that I've been thinking about. And that is that, you know, when sales bounced back strong, sometimes it's easy just to say, well, let's go back to how we've been doing business. You know, let's just go back that way. Are you, first of all, how are you dealing with that? And second of all, are you concerned that there may be some retailers in our space that are too easily going back to the way things were, not realizing that a lot of these changes are probably forever? What are your thoughts about how that may have changed the way people are approaching this?
Well, everybody's different. Some people don't want to do a whole lot extra. Some people are constantly looking for the next level. You know, I don't know. I'd have to ask Oscar Miskelly how he's handling change.
And why do you say that?
Because he keeps bugging me on my text.
Okay, we got little side convos going on here. But I mean, you get kind of what I'm saying here, though. It does become easy when you see this flood of business, to just kind of get out of battle mode and kind of go back. I don't anticipate that's what you guys have done, because you guys have been trying to be ahead of this from the beginning. But is that a perilous path to go on, to be too enamored with the dollars that are flowing in right now and not looking at the bigger picture past the dollars?
Now all you got to do, if you have something you can deliver, you're probably going to win. It's not always going to be this easy. As soon as they come out with the vaccine and people can feel safe to travel again, you'll have to go back to fighting for it. You know, the tendency is to say you've arrived and you just coast, and you know, if you're not using this time to make yourself better and stay there, you know, you're wasting a lot of time. But there is I would say, and I know Keith said this too, but probably the online acceleration, shopping as a habit, has probably been moved up 5 years. And even little old ladies are on there trying to check out their shopping cart.
Yep.
And there's still a certain segment of the population that don't want to come into your store. I mean, it's gotten smaller, but there's still a meaningful number that if I can't buy it online, I'm not going to buy it.
And Kim, I see you nodding a lot there too. What are your thoughts?
No, I think that this is a great opportunity to continue moving forward with online. You know, from a marketing perspective, you know, we think that the online audience is only going to continue to grow. Like, to echo Rob, you know, this whole COVID situation pushed us forward 10 years. We had people that what we call as digital immigrants, people that weren't comfortable being online and shopping online, forced to be shopping and using Uber Eats and Shift and other kinds of tools, online tools, to get their basic needs during this time. I don't think that it's going to go back. I think this is the new normal, and we got to continue to evolve ourselves to take advantage of that.
And you know, one of the long-standing issues that has been difficult for any of you involved in e-com is content. And I heard Kim earlier. I heard you talk about the fact of getting pictures of product and things of that sort. Is that still a struggle for the content? I mean, I know you're talking about content for what's in stock, but is that still an issue? It's a couple of questions we've got to come in related to that.
I don't think it's so much of an issue, but as something that you continuously have to do and update. And there's multiple reasons for that. You want to keep your website as fresh as possible with content, so Google, you know, realizes that. So it's important to do it for SEO reasons. But I think it's also important to keep that content fresh for your consumers, so that way their experience isn't flat. So it's something that we need to continually look at.
Okay, let me ask you, Rob, let me ask you a question. This has come from a couple of folks. Again, you know, remember that this audience today is a lot of retailers like yourselves who are just, you know, always looking for great insights and best practices. That's why this association was founded all these years ago. But as you're budgeting, people are starting to really budget now for 21, and it's hard to budget off of a year like this. But would you see, is there a percentage you would say of what you're looking at next year of online sales in your overall scheme, like what that percentage might be and what it has been in the past? Can you give us an idea? I don't want you to give any company secrets, but I'm curious if you can give us kind of that arc and what that looks like.
Well, in the past, they were low single digits, and now they're mid single digits.
Okay.
But our goal is to make our website our #1 store, and it's gone from our bottom store to probably about #5 now.
So what do you think looking ahead here? Are you saying in 5 years? Is that when you see the tipping point of that changing? Is it that type of a growth line, or what's your gut?
For when it becomes our #1 store?
Yeah.
It will happen as soon as we fully integrate it with our POS. We're working with AVB on some upgrades, and you got to have the mindset, what would you pay in rent for your #1 location? and people are spending $1,000, $2,000 a month on their website, and say I couldn't possibly spend any more. Well, that's not the attitude to get to where it needs to be, because I think the future is true omni-channel, and you got to get there, or you won't. The 5 to 10 years is not going to look pretty for you.
Well, and Kim, you guys made this transition just recently to become transactional online. Have you seen enough? Has your team seen enough to also kind of feel what Rob is talking about here about how this is going to be a continual upswing when it comes to the online aspect of your business?
Absolutely. I mean, to Rob's point, we went through a huge transition last year with our operating system and POS system. So that was one of the reasons why we were holding back on e-commerce. We have that in play now. And we're very pleased with it. And now our communications between our website and our inventory and our POS are now, seamless. So we only see an upswing to come. I do ask Rob, with your business being custom as well, are you seeing those types of custom orders on e-commerce as well?
Well, we offer special order capabilities from people like England and Southern Motion, but we're much more mid-level. We sell a lot of more married covers and that type of things, but we do get some special orders online, but not near the percentage we do in store, where they have the opportunity to see the fabrics and all the other tools and get it properly explained. I wouldn't call the website a true custom order vehicle at this time. It's an occasional custom order for us.
All right. I want to remind people that you're enjoying the HFA weekly webinar. I'm Mark Schumacher. I'm being joined by Rob Van Hoos of Big Sandy and Kim Dominguez of Mater Brothers, and we appreciate both them being here. And we've got a lot of questions that have come in, and I want to get to them. Some of these are going to be a little more granular than others, but this is a good one. What have you done? And Kim, we'll start with you. What are some, since this is your wheelhouse in particular, what are some marketing ideas that you have found to be very successful in promoting online sales, et cetera? What are the things that you have seen in this short period of time that have been the go-tos?
So we're investing in our website, but we really are reinvesting or redirecting, I should say, a lot of our traditional media funds into digital. We're really pushing the SEO, SEM. We're understanding our customers. We're utilizing our carts to understand and remarket to those people that have been in our carts and maybe have abandoned them or not actually fulfilled the sale. We're watching our emails. We've increased the amount of emails we're doing and understanding what people are looking for, because we have that real-time data from our website now. So we're able to send those custom messages out. So I feel like we're just getting a little bit more understanding of our customers and feeding them content that is most interesting to them.
Okay, Rob, what about you? What's been your go-to to market online store of yours?
Well, we do a lot of retargeting. People that come to our website are retargeted on Facebook. Facebook's become our one of our most important advertising resources. I like to do anything that you can get attribution on and actually show what was your return on investment. And Facebook's done very well. We're also using OTT, where we can actually target intenders and get attribution on that. That's been successful. So it's we quit doing circulars at the end of 2019, and we've been somebody that dropped 700,000 circulars, probably 50 weeks out of the year, and we just quit cold turkey, and just felt like we weren't reaching the customer, and business has done nothing but go up, even pre-COVID.
Really?
So our advertising expense has greatly dropped as a percentage of sales, but the bang for the buck that you get on some of the digital media, which is much more targeted, and maybe that may be a small reason why the traffic is down, but it's a much more targeted audience, and the close rate is probably doubled versus last year at this time.
It's
Kim,
also more affordable to stay top of mind with these digital tools. You know, we're constantly pushing content on social. We're doing the retargeting, and because of the price, we can do it more often and more frequently and connect with them more so than we did with traditional.
So I hear you both saying that what you're saving in print and other mediums, you're able to get more bang for the buck going on the digital side of things. And I don't hear in either of your voices the thought of this going back the other way. Would you,
Yeah.
Rob, is that fair to say? Do you see that as being a permanent change?
The only traditional media we're still buying is network television.
Same as us.
Okay, so there's a very, very specific change. Okay. Let's see, I want to get to a couple of more granular questions here. This is interesting. It says here, how are you managing and optimizing your product feeds? As far as, you mentioned, Kim, that you guys are dealing with, putting online only things you have in stock. Can you talk about how, let's get a little granular on that. How is that working, and what are the things you're doing to make that dynamic in real time so that you're maintaining customer expectations?
Because we have really put efforts in staffing our digital platform, we literally are in the back end of our website every day, watching what our customers are doing, what they're clicking on, re-ranking product to ensure that that product is showing up first, looking at our best sellers, making sure that that bestseller is on the first 2 pages. We're still learning because we're new at this, but I feel as though we're, mining that data every day and being in it and understanding what your customers are doing on your site allows you that opportunity to kind of put the material and put the content or create the experience that they're looking for every day through them.
And Rob, this has got to be tough because it's such a moving target. You talked a little bit ago about having customers, you're having to tell them that there's been a delay. So how do you maintain that really good online experience that you want with those expectations when it comes to what's available and what's not? Has it been verbiage you put on the site? Is it just, are you doing the same thing that Kim's doing and keeping only in-stock products online?
No, we have our full assortment, but we can flag things that are in stock, and we also have the capability of have a hot list for our agents to refer to what's in stock if they're just searching in general, because a lot of customers just say, "Show me something that's in stock." It's a challenge. In a perfect world, the customer should be able to figure that out on their own, but we're not quite there yet.
I got you. And and it brings up another point here. And this was a question that came in that says, how do you handle introducing customers to this new way of ordering? Kim, is there something to be said for? Do you feel that process is an important part of this, to sort of hold their hand through it so we don't lose them, or is there anything that you've done to kind of, as this person said in this question, introduce them to this new type of purchase process?
I think that live chat, how we've been handling live chat has been extremely important. We don't use an automated system right now. We actually are live. They get to talk to a person online. We'll go out into if the conversation evolves, we will go out into showrooms, take photos. We really get engaged with that customer as if they were in the showroom. And we found that that's created a lot of success and great conversion rates.
Okay. This is a really good question that just came in. Is online pricing the same as in store? Rob, is there any difference between what you're selling online and what's in one of your stores?
Yeah, the starting price is always the same. Sometimes there's some promotions that we run in the store that we have to manually do. We also have a process where we can, if it's not actually correct, because we have a lot of, you buy this, you get that, and some custom promotional things that we can send you a custom link and you just click on and check out. It goes right to your cart, and it's pretty seamless. We do that quite often.
Kim, what about you?
I would echo exactly what he says. We have starting at prices because especially on some of our custom, and let me just clarify, we have our entire product line on our website, but you can only purchase or put in your cart the stocked items.
Okay.
So that's a little bit different. So, you know, we do have those pieces that are starting at that could, you know, different grades of leather, different grades of fabric. So yeah, we do the same exact thing there.
Okay. And as far as the specials go, Rob, you're talking about the fact that you can link people to in-store specials. Do you do any online only specials? That's another question that we have.
Occasionally, but not a lot. The exception would be we may do something for Thanksgiving Day when the stores are closed, or Cyber Monday, but typically the website promotions mirror the store.
And because in effect, you're still driving them. You still want them to come in, even, you know, socially distanced or not. You still would rather have them come in the store. Is that fair to say?
Most of the traffic we get on the website end up in the store versus buying online. As long as that's the majority, and the stores do not want to compete with our website and say, well, it's not a great experience if you've got two different stories going.
Yep.
Right.
Gotcha.
Agree.
Yeah, and Kim, would you speak to that as well?
No, I 100% agree. Right now, again, we're new to this, but the online promotions that we have mirror what we do in store. You know, there are some one-off situations in different stores where there's a product there that we might want to, you know, discount, but for the most part, we feel that, you know, it's important to keep that customer aligned in terms of what's online and the experience what's in store.
Any utilization, and Kim, I'll start with you on this one, any utilization of any, you know, planning tools or any augmented reality, anything like that? Have you guys delved into that at all, or is this you're not quite there yet?
No, we, you know, as we were going through this whole implementation that got sped up due to COVID, you know, we're looking at all the companies out there for 3D modeling, product visualization. You know, we're with Perk, and, you know, do we utilize more of Perk? There's some great companies out there offering some really incredible things. We're looking at QR codes. We're trying to keep a touch on all the opportunities for technology out there that, you know, ultimately we'll see in the future.
But Rob, let me ask you this: are you concerned? You know, you guys have always been, you know, innovators, but are you concerned that you don't want to do too much? And again, think about this as you're advising some other fellow business people that are listening in on this call today. Do you not want to feel like you got to be everything and everywhere, but just do a few things well and right? And if so, what are those things?
I can tell you, you don't want to go from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds, but a lot of guys are just now thinking maybe they need a shopping cart. And if you're not doing a meaningful amount of online sales now, I'd stay away from the foo-foo stuff. I mean, the augmented reality and stuff, that may be the future, but I don't think we're to the point where people want to put a headset on to look at furniture.
Do you feel that would just overcomplicate this right now? We got enough to worry about than doing that?
For a lot of people, it would, including us.
Okay. Kim, what about you? Is that how do you feel about this? About the fact of, you know, there's so many. Look, you could spend as much money as you want. You could spend tons and all these different bells and whistles. But talk about that. Is it about just doing a few things well?
I definitely think it's about doing a few things well, but keeping your pulse on what's coming and what's the future. You know, you can put all the bells and whistles, but is it really going to affect the business? So at the end of the day, there's got to be an ROI to whatever I invest in. So I right now we're taking it slow and steady, and we will incorporate new technology as we feel it will benefit our customers.
Again, a reminder for people that join us a little bit late. This is the HFA weekly webinar. We're talking about e-com with Rob Van Hoos and with Kim Dominguez. And as I've mentioned, we've had this is a huge topic because we've had so very many questions. This is interesting, and Rob, I'm already gonna circumvent your first response here, because I know what it would be about supply. But the question came through here on how your vendors could help in this online selling process. Now, other than, yes, giving you the product you need, I think this question's spirit is, are you finding that those relationships are critically important to your success in e-com, even more than they are just in your brick and mortar. I think there's just a question about that and how important those relationships are.
I don't think relationships are important. I don't think there's any difference between e-com and brick and mortar as far as what you do with relationships. The best thing you can get out of the relationships is a consistent supply, and you need that whether it's e-com or brick and mortar. And it'd be nice if they had really great photography and they were a little more cutting edge in their technology, because furniture vendors are the most outdated group of suppliers in probably any industry out there. Just, you know, the nature of the beast, handcrafted, make it by hand, but they're you know, even Ashley, I mean, they've got a 3D solution now, but I don't know of anybody that's using it.
Kim, any thoughts on it? Well, I'm sorry. I was just going to have you just kind of walk right into the same question. What is your thought relating to the vendor question? This has come up from a number of folks that are on the webinar today. As far as those relationships, is that something that can be helpful to what you're trying to do from the e-com side of things as well as brick and mortar?
I think, you know, I think strong relationships with your vendors is always very important, but, you know, again, it's supply, and what can they do about that? And it's, you know, I have the same challenge with photography as well. They should all have portals. They should all be partnering on, you know, on 3D, and they're not. So I think there's opportunity for them to provide a better, you know, relationship with their partners.
All right, appreciate that. A couple of other questions that have come through that I think are worth us taking up here. Should you, I know that you said you've got an e-com specialist manager. Would you recommend that a retailer hire specifically for a position to run that the digital side of things, or is that something you feel that could be handled by somebody that you already have in house, or what would you suggest, Rob? What do you think?
Well, I asked this question: how important do you want it to be an important store, or you just want it to be a sideline?
Okay, so you're going to get what you pay for.
Yeah, it's whatever level of importance. I don't think you can put too much importance on it. And if you don't get its own dedicated staff, then it will never be meaningful to you, and you're going to miss the opportunity.
Right.
And Kim, you guys have shown that success. Was that somebody that was already with you in a certain capacity, or how did you hire for that position for your e-com manager?
We were very lucky to have a gal in staff that had some experience with that and was willing to take on the position. But we also, you know, looked at it as we need a purchasing, we need merchandising for it, we need someone, you know, just as we're going to staff it like we would any other brick and mortar, because it is going to be, I mean, when you think about, you know, 80% of your customers are shopping there first, and that is what their experience is, then I would hope that everybody sees that this is an important place in their brand.
Gotcha. Let's talk a little bit about financing for a sec. There's been some questions related to the fact of how important or not is it for you to billboard your financing options online. Is that something that you feel, Rob, is important on that front end, or is that something that's really going to be handled more when they get in store or with somebody on the phone?
No, it's very important. People want to apply for credit online. They don't like being turned down in person. The challenge being is that the denial rate is much higher online than it is in your store, because there is a fraud factor there that everybody's trying to catch.
So again, it's important, but you're saying that most of them are going to probably transact that in store, but you still want them to know what those parameters are while they're shopping online? We
have people that apply online and check out, and we also have people that apply online, get approved, and then go in the store and buy.
Okay, so you have a little bit of both.
Having
what
finance
about y'all?
Is important on your site if you're serious about it.
Okay, Kim, what about y'all? Do you billboard your financing options on the website?
We do. We just recently put that up, but we've always talked about our financing options. We don't have as much financing as some other companies, but we find that, you know, people, I think, will be more apt to do it online in their privacy. of their own home.
Okay, appreciate that. And Rob, why do you think, this is an interesting question. I wonder the person that asked this, we don't have names next to it, but I wonder if they're kind of thinking out loud. Why do you think that some home furnishing retailers are still hesitant about e-commerce? Is it that when we say e-commerce, everybody thinks they've got to be Amazon and Wayfair, and we can't be either? Or why do you feel people are hesitant? Because I sense that you've probably dealt with this a lot as you've set things up.
Just substitute e-commerce for change. I mean, they're hesitant about change. Nobody likes change. They're overwhelmed. They got to do everything. They're short-staffed, and there's just not enough. Our people are overwhelmed, and if you're doing a lot of the day-to-day grind yourself, you don't really have the opportunity to get to these things that you know you should do. But you know, you're tied down to everyday things that you don't get around to taking it to that next level. It's so, you know, if I change, I'm going to have to work that much harder, and I just don't have the appetite for it.
Now, Kim, you guys are in a unique position because you made a change. You embraced e-commerce as the doors were closing. Was there, you know, was there hesitancy there, or was that just a question of you weren't there, you know, evolutionally? Or why do you think that some are hesitant when we have these great conversations like we've had here today, where we see that there are sales to be had?
You know, it was always one of our key initiatives. We had some other projects in our 5-year plan that had to come before that. Obviously, COVID pushed it forward. But I think people are afraid of change. I think, you know, Rob said it before, the industry tends to lag behind many. And I think that people struggle with the unknown of e-commerce and the technology fear itself. But, you know, for us, it was that question of, you know, get it perfect or get it done. And once we got it done, we realized, okay, we got this, you know, let's just keep growing and learning as we go through this process. And it wasn't as scary as some people would have thought.
Okay, and we've, and by the way, I want to remind people they can certainly, there's an ability to ask questions. It's on the box on the right side of your screen. And we're fielding a lot of these questions. Rob, what about, somebody asked a question, just returns from e-commerce. Are there any little concerns there? Are you seeing any increases in that as well, or how does that fit with your normal?
You need to make a big emphasis on the furniture fitting. We go over dimensions and what it takes to get through the door, especially with refrigerators. But you know, that's a training issue with your chat agents. But we haven't seen the return factor to be any higher than in store.
But your takeaway here is for everybody is that you better have things in place that are making as certain as you can about those things like dimensions, et cetera. I mean, if you don't do that, then you're asking.
Yeah.
Okay. Kim, what about you? You guys, are you also seeing any return issues with e-commerce sales?
We're not seeing returns. The only thing that we have noted, and it's a very small percentage, people canceling their orders due to not, you know, the dates getting extended out that they can get their products. And that's been pretty minimal.
That has been minimal. Rob, what about you as far as the cancellation factor?
We get cancellations every day because they get tired of waiting. And usually it happens because the salesperson hasn't followed up on them. And you push that date out another month, they're just past their tipping point. And, you know, when they have to make the call and figure out that their PO got pushed back, you're probably going to get a cancellation.
And if that's a custom order, then we've really got some complexities there, right? I mean, that's
yeah. Well, we require a 30% non-refundable deposit on a custom order, but it's the custom orders, you know, pretty much set. I mean, they're telling you it's going to be February 15th now. Now, early on, there could have been some issues there, but the issues are now as on something like Ashley that you know, you were expecting the middle of October, and you just got an update now it's the middle of November, and you know, the customer has to find that on their own. That's not a great customer experience.
Okay, so and Kim, I'll throw this back your way. So I'm hearing that customer contact has got to be consistent? I mean, what are you all doing to follow up and make sure that any changes in delivery status are known to the customer?
So again, any of our online purchases, we are communicating directly through our e-commerce manager to inform our customers of any delays. And we're also, from an in-store perspective, I'm not saying that we're not seeing those delays in-store, because a lot of what we do, 70% of it, is custom orders. So we've had those challenges as well. And we're constantly being communicated by senior leaders to inform our customers, make sure that we're communicating with our customers. It's a relationship, and you've got to keep up on it.
And when it comes to the being in business online, do you have any do you have to sort of fence things off a little bit here as far as people trying to order from outside your area? Rob, how do you manage that when that comes up?
We do shipping. I'm tired of getting, for some reason, California and New York are always online looking for stuff, and we can't afford to ship there. But if it's west of the Mississippi, east of the Mississippi, we can ship about a 500-mile radius curbside, and we do that pretty often. It doesn't work for solder. We had to make that in-store pickup, and that's probably our number one canceled item.
Wow. So you will entertain that to a certain degree, which is, I guess, helping also to grow business. Kim, what about you guys as far as outside your area?
Again, we just started, so we are only delivering to those areas that we physically deliver to. So we eventually may change that, but right now that's what we're managing.
I gotta tell you, I know you feel like you just started, but you guys are old pros at this point. As this pandemic, keeps moving its way there. We've got just a few more minutes here. I want to, once again mention that we're talking to Rob Van Hoos, and we're also talking to Kim Dominguez related to a lot of e-com questions here. And I'm trying to get to as many of these questions as I can. Let me ask you this, because everybody likes to hear some of the stories as far as when things really kind of came together well. Do you have some great success stories from this pandemic of how your website and your in-store connected beautifully for someone, or some great examples there?
You talking about specific sales?
Yeah, I'd love to hear an example. It would be great just to hear, some people love to hear success stories and what worked. Do you have some examples, Rob?
We've got multiple $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 sales that started their journey on the website. So, it's
really,
it's not like it's a one big huge story. It's an ongoing series of stories that, if you're really focused on it, it continues to happen. So it's not like you have that climatic moment and you've arrived. It's a constant journey. And there's a lot of small wins on the way.
And how do you, as far as your team goes, you just counsel them on making sure that those that the small things matter, and if you put those together, you're going to have success. Those details we've talked about throughout this hour-long webinar today.
We just stress, you're representing our brand, and that customer experience is the ultimate grading card of whether you fail. And there is a review process at the end of every chat that they leave you. A lot of people don't, but there's some good tips, and it's not hard to see the ones that where we disappointed somebody.
Okay, so there's a really great takeaway for everybody is to learn from each transaction and follow up. Kim, what about you? Are there any of those moments that you just think are where everything just fit together beautifully in this e-com to brick and mortar connection, or even just flat out e-com? Any that come to mind?
I have actually kind of funny one. When we were just shut down and we went live with live chat, we had this fabulous woman start asking questions, and a gal that works here, Marcy, she was in, having a conversation with her, and the conversation grew, and she went out and did a whole presentation for her, and I think we sold over $25,000, and we looked at each other and went, oh, I guess we really need to be here. So it was an exciting moment for us, and we've seen big wins like that since we went through e-commerce. We've seen a lot of people that have gone online and then come in the store. And those larger transactions are happening in the store, but they're starting online. So we know that we're doing the right thing, and it's going to be a constant, hopefully constant, and more wins to come.
And nobody listening to this today is going to scoff at a $20,000 ticket. That's incredible. That's great stuff. As we wrap up today, Rob, what are some final thoughts relating to e-com as part of your retail business that you'd like to impart on anybody listening from the lessons that you've learned? What are the things that they need to be most mindful of?
Don't be afraid to invest. Your mindset has to be that needs to be your biggest store, because it can be, and it should be, and it's going to determine your strength in the marketplace. And true omni-channel is a winning proposition. And I know my mindset's different, but there's some people out there would rather be 0 for 0 than 0 for 20. You need to reverse that. Even Oscar.
Kim, what are some thoughts that you have that you would think would be good lead behinds for anybody that's a fellow retailer that's listening to this right now?
Sure. Well, I mean, again, e-commerce, I think you need to treat it like a flagship store, staff it, market it, mine it just like you would your brick and mortar. I think one thing that we've all learned in the last 10 months is embrace change. You've got to keep moving forward. Change is going to come regardless. So embrace it and take that step. Don't look for perfection all the time. Fail fast and move on.
Well, and we've talked about it a lot here at the Home Furnishings Association, and that is that we're preparing not just for what might happen next in this pandemic, but the next disruption. Because a lot of the things that you're talking about could impact your stores if it is a natural disaster or whatever it might be. This just sounds like this is just really good, good business, no doubt about that. I want to remind everybody, first of all, I want to thank Rob Van Hoos from Big Sandy and Kim Dominguez from Mater Brothers for joining us today. I want to remind you that you will be able to find this recorded webinar at myhfa.org/COVID-19. We had so many takeaways today, and there were so many questions we were able to get to, which is great, that you may want to go back and listen, or have somebody on your staff go check it out. If you did a sign up for this webinar, as you had to be a part of this, you will get that link, but just know it's there at that website. And also you can continue the conversation always at our HFA Retailer to Retailer Facebook group as well. Want to once again thank Rob and Kim. What I hope for more than anything else is for yours and your family's good health, for great business for both of your businesses, your store chains. And thanks for imparting some wisdom today. We really appreciate it. Once again, this is Mark Schumacher, CEO of the Home Furnishings Association. I want to thank you for joining our webinar today. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, Oscar.